This is the Giuseppe Verdi, a Tier 8 premium Italian battleship. It is the main reward of the Dice Irea campaign, and it is now the king of the secondaries for the Italian battleship fleet, and it probably holds its own pretty well against the other secondary monsters in the game. With that, let's get into the setup of the ship and the commander, who is Paolo Di Revel. Base trait is time is of the essence, which improves the battleship's main battery reload time. Then we have a dual secondary inspiration here of Franz von Hipper, elbow room, which improves the secondary gun range and its shell grouping. Then we have Haruna, overwhelm, which improves the secondary gun range and its dispersion. For skills, we have not the one for nuisance, which improves the risk of catching fire and the risk of flooding and torpedo damage to the citadel. Then we went with porcupine, which improves the secondary gun range, shell grouping, and dispersion. Then we went with firefighter, which improves the damage control party cooldown time and the risk of catching fire, but the damage control party duration does take a hit of 40%. And then we went with properly meticulous, which improves the secondary battery reload time and its secondary targeting duration. And we're still using will to rebuild. The amount of HP recovered is 73% here with rank 16 legendary 3. Repair party duration is 40%, but that turns out to not be so bad when you have the amount of HP recovered as high as it is. The special effect will auto-repair the ship when the HP is equal to or less than 20%. To make that happen, you have to be within 2.75 kilometers of an allied ship at legendary rank 3. Ranking up to legendary rank 4 will increase that radius up to 3.5 kilometers. As far as the upgrades for the Giuseppe Verdi, we went all secondaries here with the secondary battery mod 2. Secondary battery firing range and its dispersion is improved by 20%. Then we went with the propulsion mod, which cuts in half the time taken to reach full power when you are accelerating. And then we went with the concealment system mod 1, which improves the detectability range and the incoming fire dispersion. And this 5% on the incoming fire dispersion will double up on your fully upgraded camo or skin. And then here we went with the epic secondary mod. Secondary battery reload time is improved by 20% with the secondary battery mod 3, but the epic mod will increase the reload time by another 5% for every 30,000 damage you get with the ship. Doesn't matter how you get the damage, you just need to get the damage. Loadout, you have your ammunition of high explosive shells, armor piercing shells, and we'll get into that in a bit. Damage control party, duration is 9 seconds, reloads every 68 seconds, and there is an unlimited number of those consumables. Repair party consumable will partially restore the ship's HP by repairing any light damage at the rate of 1,338 hit points per second, and that is pretty much a super heal right there. Duration is 12 seconds, reloads every 80 seconds, and there are 3 of those consumables. And here we've selected the radar consumable rather than the sonar. You have one or the other you can select. I went with the radar here. Detection range of ships is 9.5 kilometers. Duration is 35 seconds. Reloads every 180 seconds, and there are 2 of those consumables. And then I selected the enhanced secondary targeting. Of course, since this is essentially a secondary build, secondary battery shell grouping is improved by 100%, and the dispersion is improved by 50%. When the consumable is active, it runs for 37.5 seconds, reloads every 160 seconds, and we have 3 of those consumables. I'm not running any boosters, but that could change depending on the match. Ship comes with a Type 9 premium permanent camouflage. Sea detectability range and incoming fire dispersion is 4.5% respectively. Specs: survivability hit points is 69,100. Armor is 19 to 410 millimeter with a 33% torpedo damage reduction. Artillery, you have 9 guns, 406 millimeters. Those are 16-inch guns. Firing range is 16.4 kilometers with this build. Reloads every 29.4 seconds. Traverse time is 36 seconds, which is not all that great. HE shells have a maximum of 5,700 with a 36% chance of setting fire. Armor piercing has a maximum of 12,600. And then the secondaries here, you've got quite a few guns. The 90 millimeters reach out to 9.4 kilometers with a reload of 3.6 seconds. Semi-armor piercing shells here on the secondaries, and they have a maximum of 2,000 damage. Then we have the 152s. They also reach out to 9.4 kilometers, reloads every 5.8 seconds, and they have a maximum of 3,850. And these secondaries are better than the Lepanto, which recently received a nerf. And yeah, Giuseppe Verdi is a secondary king of the Italian fleet. AA defenses, you will probably clear the sky with the Giuseppe Verdi if the aircraft carrier player wants to try that out. Maneuverability, maximum speed is 32 knots. Turning circle radius is almost 1 kilometer. Rudder shift time is 15.2 seconds. Concealment, detectability range by sea is 13.2 kilometers. Range by air is 11.1 kilometers. And if you're firing in the smoke, it's 14.8 kilometers. Armor, this looks pretty good. It looks standard for a Tier 8 battleship. And let's see, in the bow and stern is 29 to 33 millimeters, which will cause 16-inch guns and lower caliber shells to ricochet, so that is pretty good. Then on the sides, you are protected even more. And all right, let's take a look at the Citadel here. And this is great, except for the green on the turtleback right there. So as always, be very careful about going broadside. Yeah, no ships in the game are really immune from going broadside. So overview: secondary reach, above average secondary battery firing range, and yeah, that we saw with 9.4 kilometer range. Grado heal, repair party restores severe damage, and over 1,300 hit points restored right there. There is no doubt about the super heal. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. So then the Giuseppe Verdi was a variant of a battleship that was designed in Italy in the mid-1930s. She embodied the further development of the Vittorio Veneto class warships equipped with 16-inch 406 millimeter main battery guns. Year of design was 1942, and it doesn't look like there were any ships in this series. Well, that's it for the setup of the ship and the commander. Let's go out in a standard match and check out those secondaries. So yeah, the Giuseppe Verdi is the new secondary king for the Italians. The stats are now better than the nerfed Lepanto, believe it or not, as far as secondaries goes. So the main idea is to close in on some of the red team ships and see if we could start getting some secondary action going. There's that Pommern. A lot of people don't really like the Pommern. It's, I guess, not that great of a ship. I am backing up, and you can see the incoming from that cruiser to the right of the Pommern. And yeah, so we've missed. He's missed me, and so now we're starting to go full speed ahead and close in on the Pommern to try to close that distance to get within secondary distance, and we have done that right as the Pommern has gone broadside, so that is awesome. And now that we've gone forward, the cruiser is starting to miss us. We're up to 11,000 damage on 5 main gun hits. We are almost in secondary range, another half a kilometer or so. And that cruiser, I'm not even sure what kind of cruiser it is, but it is reloading pretty darn fast. And these main guns seem to reload pretty quick too. That's got to be Paolo Di Revel doing his thing. And yeah, so Revel is not really that great as far as accuracy, but he is good enough. And here we've gotten 30,000 damage already, all within about 3 minutes or so, a little less than 3 minutes. And we're really giving the Pommern a workover with the secondaries. That is a heck of a show as that cruiser keeps pummeling us from the other side of that island. So yeah, the Pommern keeps going broadside to us, and he is gone big time. So we took him out with our main guns. We're up to 57,000 fairly quickly, and now we are being focused by, looks like, at least 3 of the red team ships. So there, I've targeted the Freisland there with the secondaries, and I like to do that quite a bit when I find a destroyer way out at a great distance. I will lock him with the secondaries, and then later on in the match, if he comes within range, the secondaries will automatically go off, and I don't really have to worry about targeting that guy. So if you have a whole bunch of destroyers, that may not work so great, but that's what I try anyway. Here is a Zieten who is broadside to us, and that is awesome. Up to 59,000. Let's see if we do anything here with these shells, and we get a citadel hit on the Zieten. So even though Paolo Di Revel is not an accuracy commander, you still do get some accuracy. That is a Tulsa right there, and that Tulsa comes back to get us toward the end of our time in the match, as it turns out. So Tulsa is a much tougher ship than you would think. And yeah, that Freisland is really going to town on us, and we're just going to get out of here. So he doesn't have a clear shot at us, and that Tulsa is at full health. See if we could change that a little bit right there. That looked like a pretty good shot. Hopefully we can get the Tulsa with some pretty big damage. And it looks like we didn't really rock him all that much. He's now successfully behind that island. Here is my teammate who's gone out in the open like that, and that is never a good thing because everybody gets to focus you, and you're not going to last very long. So this Tulsa player is pretty good. It looks like he goes out just far enough, and right when I can get a shot off, he starts going back into the island, and I don't really get much of a hit right there at all. But we are up to 80,000 damage on 79 secondary hits and 30 main gun hits. So yeah, both ships are kind of angled approximately the same angle, it looks like. I'm backing up. Don't want to get 2 ships targeting me, and now, yeah, so now I've got a bunch of destroyers over here. I took out 1 destroyer with my secondaries, and that was probably the guy that I had targeted that snuck up on me, and there is a secondaries in action when you lock on a destroyer, and I would have not realized that that guy was there because I'm focusing on the Tulsa, not really the mini-map, and yeah. So yeah, that's a problem with situational awareness, and now we've got the Iowa and the Tulsa that we are going up against, both ships, as it turns out. The Iowa is nice enough to go broadside to us, and we're up to 100,000 damage already on 130 secondary hits, pretty close to it anyway. So the secondaries are definitely doing a number on the red team. The Tulsa is in a perfect spot. He's firing. I cannot see him. So main idea here is to bow tank the Iowa and the Tulsa, and let the secondaries take care of anything behind me, assuming they get close. And this is awesome with this broadside right here, and we take him for well over 20,000 damage. We hit our last heel, so we're kind of in big trouble here, but I think I was forced into this situation where I have to go out in the open like this. We've got a high caliber medal. We've previously got in a close quarters medal, and this Iowa is not going to be around very much longer, and we're going to take care of him. We're up to 151,000 damage, and this Tulsa looks like I should be able to take him out or damage him severely right there. And we do have a Confederate medal as well right here. So yeah, this Tulsa is kind of giving me a lesson right here, because he is a lot tougher than I would have thought. He apparently has timed my reload perfectly, because right when I get reloaded, he's going bow on, and you can see here I'm not really doing too much on his bow with the main guns, but the secondaries are really going to town on him. And I do have him locked up with my secondaries, and there he takes me out. And I'm going to say that it wasn't even a fair fight between the Tulsa and the Giuseppe Verdi. So good job on the Tulsa player. All right, well, that was a big-time victory for the Giuseppe Verdi. 444,000 credits, 172,000 battle performance total damage on 51 main gun hits. And we got 3 destroyed ships, 2 citadel hits, 8 defendeds, and 201 secondary hits. And we did get a pile of medals there. We got a close quarters expert, we got a Confederate, and a high caliber. So the Giuseppe Verdi is, it can pack quite a wallop, I guess, if you don't run into a Tulsa. All right, so let's check out the team result. Second place overall, 2162 with 3 destroyed ships and all those medals. But yeah, the Tulsa player on the red team, he survived the battle and got almost 2,000 XP there. So yeah, that is a good player. Congratulations for the Bismarck player on the blue team with 2,400 XP. Let's check out the economy tab. And by the time it was all said and done, we did get 260,000 credits on a tier 8 ship. So that is a pretty good, credit haul right there. Well, that's it for the Giuseppe Verdi. I like it as a secondary build ship, and definitely worth 2,500 doubloons to buy the Admiralty backing for the current campaign. Let me know what you think down below. This is the Jaguar, and I'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you like it.